Hello and welcome to the Feminine Millionaire Show. I'm your host, Polly Alexander. I'm a success coach, healer, creative, and future millionaire. If creating money and success in a spiritual and feminine way is your goal, this show is for you. Understand how to overcome your past, bring your soul's greatest gifts to the world, and up-level your income, impact, joy, and happiness. Join me on my journey to creating a 7-figure business and learn the business mindset, spiritual, and lifestyle changes I make along the way. Let's all rise together. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Feminine Millionaire Show. Today I'm excited to talk about one of my favorite topics, manifesting. So you might remember episode 27 where I talked about how I manifest my dream home in Ibiza. That's one of the episodes I've had most feedback from you, so I know that you guys really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to say that there's several more where that came from. I've actually manifested 4 of my dream homes in total now here in completely different circumstances, and each of them has a different story and different learnings that I'm excited to share with you. So if you haven't caught episode 27, how I manifest my dream home in Ibiza, definitely worth going and listening to that one too. And then today I'm going to be talking about losing it all. That dream I created, just a couple of years later, it all fell apart. And today I'm going to be talking about from losing it all to starting over and how I manifest the new home of my dreams. But first, I am super excited to announce that the new Feminine Millionaire Facebook community is now open. You can find it on Facebook. I would be delighted to welcome you in. We are hosting a Manifest More Money Challenge in the group. It starts the 27th of September, and I would love to welcome you in and support you to creating your own manifesting miracles. You can sign up with the link in the show notes to this episode, and you can search for the new Feminine Millionaire Facebook group. So what will you learn in the challenge? Well, you're going to learn the things you can change to attract more money, regardless of what your current circumstances are. You're going to understand the unconscious ways you may be blocking more money coming in and how to create a new relationship with money. It's going to be a really fun manifesting vortex. The energy will be off the charts, and we always see a lot of manifesting of abundance and cash wins in the group. So don't miss out. It's suitable for people of every level. And there's going to be prizes. That's all I'm saying for now. Make sure you get yourself in because we will be closing the doors when the challenge starts. Okay, so let's dive into today's episode. From losing it all to starting over. Manifesting the new home of my dreams. So, as I shared in episode 27, I bought a second home in Ibiza with my partner. And it was one of the high points of my life. I was so excited. It was literally a long-held dream come true. However, the year after we got the home, unexpectedly my mother passed away suddenly. And then, just 18 months later, my new husband walked out unexpectedly on our marriage. The relationship was over, and with it, our dream home. So I had custody of the English bulldog. My ex rented a home nearby to share the dog. And I knew sooner or later that the home was going to have to be sold. I had to choose between keeping my home in the UK and my home in Ibiza. My current financial position didn't afford me the ability to keep both on my own. And so, whilst the divorce process took place, I stayed in the home and I lived there with my dog and my cat. But I knew that the clock was ticking and that sooner or later I was going to need to let go. Now, the point at which I had to let go came unexpectedly. I was away in Sydney at a business event, at a personal development workshop, and I had the sudden, unexpected news that my beloved dog Lolo had passed away. Lolo was an English bulldog and he had breathing problems and he had passed away with the carers. At this point, I was in a ton of debt. I was in the middle of a divorce with no personal, financial or emotional support around me, with no savings, no money. My business as a wedding photographer had taken an impact because of how I was feeling and my energy, and it really felt like I had just hit rock bottom. However, in a way, Lolo's passing actually was an opening. All endings conceal within them the opportunity for new beginnings. And in Lolo's passing, I was freed up to create a new life. And I truly believe that Lolo moved on to the Rainbow Bridge in order to free me up so that I could create a bigger life for myself, so that I would have more freedom, so that I could travel more, so that I could expand into more of who I was here to be. So this is a longer story, but I'm going to keep this focused on manifesting. You're probably wondering how this is going to lead to manifesting. Well, I'm coming to that now. So without the need to hold on to the house with the garden, because I had a dog, it was time to let go. So when I got back from Sydney, I set some powerful intentions. I decided it was time to sell the house. And not only that, but I decided that I was going to call in a cash buyer who wanted to complete quickly. When you have that driving desire inside you to make a change, to do something different, to move on, the best thing you can do is to harness that energy, that fire in your belly, and make fast decisions. But there was a fly in the ointment, the real estate agents. So they told me, this is not going to happen. You're not going to get a cash buyer and no one's going to complete quickly. Now, you need to understand that at that time of year, we were in February, there were virtually no direct flights to the island of Ibiza. There were very few cash buyers, and sales anyway typically take 3 to 6 months to complete here. So the odds, in their opinion, were stacked against me. They were very pessimistic about my chances. They basically said to me, it's not going to happen. All of them except one. One said, you know, it's a long shot. It's a long shot, but I'm willing to give it a go. So guess who I hired? Yes, I chose not to work with any of the agents who said it wouldn't happen, because I knew that their belief system and energy would affect my sale, and I needed to find someone that was willing to try, that could be on board with my intention. So that was the first step I took. And then, as the universe responds when it knows that you're serious about your intention and you're taking action, 48 hours later, I got a text message from a friend of a friend saying that she'd heard I was selling and she was actually visiting the island for 24 hours only. Could she come and see my house? So 4 hours later, she came to see the house and put in an offer immediately. 24 hours later, I had an offer for the full amount I desired, and it was a private sale. I'd sold my home by text message out the blue, and that meant there were no agents' fees. So I was saving tens of thousands on that. Now this, although it was what I was manifesting, came as a little bit of a shock. Sometimes our desires can come in even faster than we imagine. And I suddenly thought, oh my gosh, where am I going to live? Well, to backtrack a little, a year before, when I knew that I was not going to be able to stay in my dream home forever, I started thinking about, well, if I could live anywhere, where would I live? And I started dreaming, and I found these fabulous apartments in an area called Marina Botafogo, designed by a famous Spanish architect, Jean Nouvel. The development was called Las Boas. It's eye-catching, iconic, and I was immediately magnetized to it. In fact, I used to go down there on Sundays and walk alongside the development, looking at it, visualizing, imagining myself living there with my dog Lolo. I actually, if you scroll back, I think it's to 2017 on my Instagram. It's going to take a bit of time, so I'm not necessarily recommending you actually do this, but you can actually see Instagram posts of me saying my dream apartment, #manifesting. This was months and months before I even knew how this would be possible, even really believed it was possible. So I've got the offer on my home, and an hour later I went online to look for a rental apartment. My cleaner was actually at my villa that day, and I said to her, where do I find an apartment to rent? I'd never rented here. I had been the owner of my home, and she told me which website to go to. And so I went on there, and the first thing I saw was my dream apartment from my vision board, the exact one, that place that I'd been Instagramming about 8 weeks before, months before. And by 10 a.m. the next morning, I had a viewing, and by 11 a.m. I knew it had to be mine. There was a bit of a flaw in the plan. It was expensive. It was more than I had ever imagined spending on renting an apartment, and I didn't have the money. But I made a decision to make this happen, and happen fast. I made it my absolute priority, and I did whatever it took to make this happen, okay? I'm going to tell you what I did. So I knew, I could feel it in every cell of my body. This is where I need to be. This is where I want to be. This is my true and authentic desire. So you had to pay up front for the apartment for a year. So it actually required me to sign a contract for 25,000 euros. And to secure the apartment, I had to pay a deposit of 2,000 euros. So they wouldn't take it off the market until I'd paid that deposit and signed the contract. So remember, I didn't have the money to pay the deposit, and I didn't have the money to pay the year up front. Okay, I thought, what can I do? So I made a massive list of every single way I could bring in money, every possible way. And I was running a photography business at the time. And so I decided that I could advance sell shoots in Ibiza off Instagram. So I put out a special offer on Instagram to book your summer shoot in Ibiza. You could cash it in whenever you wanted. You could choose the dates, but you would pay now to secure this fabulous offer. And I sold 3 of those shoots on Instagram, and I raised my 2,000 euro deposit within 24 hours. Phew! And then I booked 2 new coaching clients. Now, both of them were moving house, and they didn't actually want to start coaching straight away, but they wanted to pay now. So they were going to actually start coaching right after the date that I decided to move, the 3rd week of April. So when I knew the sale was going to happen, I put in my desired timeline, which was about 5-6 weeks out. So how did I pay the balance? Well, just 3 weeks after all of this, I signed the contract on my sale, and I was able to pay the balance and move into my dream apartment and my new life. I was overjoyed and thrilled, most of all because it proved to me that anything is possible if you want it enough. Anything is possible if you want it enough. I had that burning desire. And even though I didn't know how it was possible, even though I didn't have the money, even though there's a million reasons why it couldn't or wouldn't or shouldn't happen for me, I didn't allow those to stop me. So here's some of the things I did to make my dream a reality. So at the start of that year, I'd created a vision board for the year of what I wanted my dream life to look like, my new life. Remember, I was starting over. I created what I thought was the dream with my partner. We had visions for our life, and then it was all broken apart. I had to start over. And then when I was dreaming of my ideal next home on Ibiza, I started visiting different areas on weekends and feeling into where I wanted to live. And you can totally do that. So when you've got a dream of living somewhere, go visit those places. How does it feel to wander around the shops, the cafes there, to walk down the streets? And I actually stayed in a hotel in the area I wanted to live in for a weekend on my own, and I really got connected to the feeling of what it would be like to live in that area. So even though I didn't know how, I was taking all the steps to feel my new life as if it was a reality. Second thing I did is I set laser clear intentions. So on my house, I set a clear intention for the exact amount of money I wanted to sell for, the exact day their deposit would be paid, and the exact day I wanted to complete. And I also wrote out how I wanted the whole process of the sale to go through. I also did something slightly unconventional. So the new owner, she was a single woman moving from Portugal to Ibiza, and she had 5 dogs, and I actually let her move into my house before our sale was complete, which is very unconventional. But I trusted my gut, I trusted my intuition. It helped her in a big way, and everything went smoothly. You know, I got exactly what I intended because I spent time seeing how it would happen in my mind first. And I actually made 50,000 euros more than I was sold it would sell for by one agent. And I didn't have the agent's fees. So I saved about another 15,000. The third thing I did was that I used my intuition to decide who to work with, okay? So when you're hiring people in your personal life, or hiring people to sell your home, or hiring people to find you a home, you have to use your intuition to decide who to work with. I actually moved lawyers until the energy felt right, and I didn't work with agents who didn't share my vision of possibility. There's always going to be naysayers, there's always going to be people that project their own fears, their own insecurities onto your dreams. You have to be very discerning about who you decide to hire. The fourth thing I did was not to limit myself. So you could have said, well, shouldn't you move into a small, humble apartment? After all, you're paying for it all on your own now. You're not splitting it with anybody else. But I actually allowed myself to go for something that seemed way out of my league, but which I truly, deeply desired. The apartment that I moved into cost €1 million when it was first put on the market for sale. This was €1 million apartment. There's no way I could afford to buy that. And this is one of the awesome things which I experienced around renting. You can rent somewhere that you may not be in a position to buy currently. So you have an energetic up level by being in that environment that will take you to your next income level as well. My desire was so great that I allowed myself to explore the possibility. Desires are fuel. Desires are fuel, and they can propel you forward in attracting and manifesting more money. The next thing I did was I took a risk on something I really desired. So I paid that €2,000 deposit on a €25,000 a year apartment without knowing where the money was come from. If my sale hadn't gone through, I would have lost my deposit. If I couldn't pay the rest of the money, I wouldn't be able to move in. I would have lost the deposit. But I took that risk. I bet on myself. And without any other available sources of money, I absolutely had to call in the money myself. I held unwavering faith and trust that this would work out. Every day I strengthened my connection to God and my spiritual support system. I took really good care of myself and my energy. I had crystal healing every week to keep my vibration high, even though finances were really tight. I ate well, I did lots of yoga, and I got lots of sleep. And all of this helped keep my intuition razor sharp. I kept away from anyone negative, and I very selectively shared what I was in the middle of with people I knew who would be supportive and positive and optimistic with me. So what did I learn? Well, I learned that we have the power to recreate everything over. So if you have lost everything in your life, or you're currently in a place of rock bottom, you have the power within you to create your dreams again, bigger, better, brighter than ever before. I truly believe that every time things fall apart, it's because there's something even better waiting to be created. The universe has an infinite source of abundance when we ask for it. But you have to ask for it. Aim higher and do the inner work required to feel worthy and deserving of your wildest desires. And lastly, take risks. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I love manifesting. I love creating my wildest dreams, and I intend all of that and more for you too. See you again next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I loved bringing you another manifesting episode. And talking of manifesting, make sure you sign up for my Manifest More Money Challenge, which starts the 27th of September. You need to be in my all-new Feminine Millionaire Facebook group to participate. You can sign up with the link in the show notes. You're going to learn the things you can change to attract more money. You're going to learn how to create a new relationship with money and the unconscious ways you may be blocking more money coming in right now. It's always a super fun, high vibe manifesting vortex. The energy is off the charts and we see a lot of wins. And there's going to be prizes. Make sure you get yourself in there. I cannot wait to take this journey with you. Bye for now.